Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Amok Prabhuji. Nice to see you back
Hare
after a
Krishna
long
Mataji.
time. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, hope your trip was good.
Yes, it was all right, Mataji. Nice.
I have to tell you
Nice.
an interesting thing, Gayatri ji, yesterday. On Tuesday, both of us, myself, I just came rushed back from because I went on some work and I just landed up in Soho Temple. And there was a Bhagavad Gita class going on, and I just immediately slipped out there and just sat over there without realizing that actually Amoga Prabhu was sitting next to me, and I didn't even realize that. And then when the Prabhu said, "Can you recite some sloka?" and I was just like reciting, and then I suddenly realized that Amoga Prabhu it's next to me because Amoga Prabhu is like he had his head shared, and like I was like I didn't even recognize him. Then suddenly Prabhu just seen, and I was like, "Oh my Prabhu, you are here!" I think it was very interesting how devotees meet. So it's all Krishna connection. I never even
Nice.
expected that I would meet him. But it was for a very short period, like a few minutes only. But yeah, but it was nice at least to meet Maga Prabhu.
Nice.
It was even, I was thinking to meet any devotees, but anyway, it was time for me to return to my
Yeah,
hometown, just in the rush in the last moment. But
yeah.
I thought of meeting Brother Sachi Mataji, but Mataji is not working on that day in the
Mm,
temple.
okay. Yeah, yeah. It was nice, Prabhuji, to have a quick association, very few minutes.
That's really nice.
Yeah,
Okay, Prabhu. I'll
yeah. Okay.
start, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhuji. Please.
ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुर्श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्तकाञ्चन गौरङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिने इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. That was wonderful, Mataji. Very nice. Amazing. So beautifully recited. So happy. So I think with your permission, I'll just do a bit of Kirtan and we will dive into the Krishna book. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Paritosh Prabhu, thank you for joining us.
Very nice, Ketan Prabhuji. Different tunes. Very nice. So beautiful.
Thank you, Prabhuji. You're all learning, and I felt like Kirtan is such a wonderful way to connect with our devotees. It so happened, Muga Prabhuji, after you left, I stayed back for the 9 o'clock Aarti, and Patri Prabhu had come actually, Prabhuji. And Patri Prabhuji did the amazing Kirtan the whole evening, it from 9 o'clock to 9:30. It was just amazing. It was so beautiful.
Very nice.
Yeah, and his kirtans are also the very in his classes are also the very nice, Prabhuji. Like especially, yeah, kirtans he's very good at it actually. So it was a joy to listen to him. With your permission, I will just do the invocation and then I will be going to the Krishna book. Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwar Vishabhanuste Devi Pranama. Jai Prabhupada ki jai. Gauranitai ki jai. As we always mention before we start the Krishna book, a very important thing, Bhagavan Sri Krishna tells that Jatasihi dhruvo mritum jarom janmam mritasyata tasmad apariharyarte natvam sochitam arhasi. Krishna makes it very clear in Bhagavad Gita, one who's born is sure to die, and after that one is sure to take birth again. But the only exception in coming out of exception to the devotees are the only exception is the devotees who are practicing Krishna consciousness. And for those devotees who are always thinking of Krishna, always doing kirtan for Krishna, satatam kirtayanto mam yatanchasya, always doing kirtan for Krishna, always remembering Krishna, those devotees, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, and those who are always listening to Harikatha, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti takataha chakta deham punarjanma naiti mameti suarjana. So Krishna says, those devotees who understand my leelas, my appearance, my beautiful leelas, those who are listening to Krishna Katha, those devotees towards the end of their life, we will not come back into this material world, but they will directly go to the supreme planet of Krishna, which is called as Krishna Loka. So this is an amazing, wonderful benediction that Krishna is giving to all his devotees, that anybody who takes to the lotus feet of Krishna and those who are always practicing Krishna consciousness, they will need have to fear about coming back into this or getting into the cycle of birth and death, because Krishna is so kind. He says, if my devotees don't remember me at the time of death, then I will remember them and take them back to the Krishna Loka. So Krishna, for me, Bhagavad Gita is a beautiful book of a life guide from Krishna, where Krishna is constantly telling us every now and then that he always wants us to come back to Godhead, come back to Krishna Loka. And in order to attract us, he tells us even how Krishna Loka looks like. Natad basayate suryo na shashanka na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante taddama paramamava. That supreme abode of mine, Arjuna, it is not illuminated by the sun or the moon. It is illuminated by Brahma Jyoti. And those who reach to the Krishna Loka, they will not come back into this material planet. Krishna calls this as Dukkhalayam, a place of suffering and a place of misery. So, but we are living in an illusion. We are trying to enjoy this illusionary world. But so the whole process of Krishna consciousness is to come out of this illusion, come out of the grips of the Maya, and take to the lotus feet of Krishna and go back to Krishna. So in in this Krishna book, we are covering chapter number 62, the meeting of Usha and Aniruddha. A beautiful chapter which we started off last week. And again, this is such a beautiful thing. We are so fortunate because by the grace of Prabhupada, we have this Krishna book, which is coming from Bhagavatam, where we not only know that God has a form, that we not only know God as a form, but God has a name. We not only know that God has a name, but God has pastimes. And not only that we have God as pastime, that God even has children like all of us we have. Like his son, Aniruddha, who's one of his son. And then you can see how the beautiful story unfolds. And he actually started off with the, of course, he's Pradyumna's son, Aniruddha. And we're going to be covering some more chapter. We just started off last week. We just talked about how Aniruddha met Usha and how this great fight unfolds between Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva. It's going to be very, very interesting. But then that is going to be another chapter. We are just going to be building up the foundation why Lord Krishna fights with Lord Shiva, right? So the foundation is the backdrop or the background of the story of the fight between Krishna and Lord Shiva is what we are covering in this chapter. So as we know that this entire Krishna book is taken from Bhagavatam, where Parikshit Maharaj, who is a son of Abhimanyu or a grandson of Arjuna, is listening to this beautiful Krishna Katha or the Srimad Bhagavatam from Sukadev Goswami. And Sukadev Goswami, and we can see from Mahana Parikshit, he's always inquiring, he's always trying to know, he's very curious. You know, even among our friends, we see like some friends are very, very curious. They want to know each and everything, you know. There's different set of people, and some people are like very, very curious. They want to know to the bottom of it. They want to know the root cause. They want to know what exactly is the story behind. So that such is the personality of Maharaj Parikshit. And he was asking Parikshit Maharaj, and like this Bali, this King Bali that we have seen, actually, he was a great devotee and he wanted to give charity to Lord Vamana Avatar, who's a incarnation of Vishnu. And Vamana asked for those 3 feet of land, and we know that how he landed up taking away the pride of Bali Maharaj. And as I was mentioning, Gauranga Prabhu gave a very nice this thing when Bali had too much of a pride. Lord Vishnu crushed the pride by asking for this 3 feet of land. And at the same time, when Sudama was very feeling pride that he is one of the poorest of the poorest, Krishna removed his pride as well by giving him a mighty palace when he went back home. And it's so important. So apparently, yesterday only was Akshaya Triti, and we all know that that was the day when Sudama met his friend Sri Krishna in Dwarka. And we all know this beautiful story. Almost everybody is aware of this story where Sudama was feeling very awkward to give just a handful of rice and poha to Krishna, but Krishna asked for it and he took it. And in return, because this was something very interestingly, our devotees have explained so nicely that Sudama was trying to give Krishna something which is beyond his means, because Sudama was not even in a position to give a poha also. Like that was how poor he was. But still he landed up picking up some poha that his wife has given and offered it to Krishna. So which means he's given it something which is beyond his means. So at the same time, Krishna wanted to give something which is beyond his means. But what can be beyond the means of Krishna? Because everything belongs to Krishna. What is it that he can give to Krishna? So Krishna was feeling like, how do I repay him? He has given me something out of his means. Sudama was so kind that he offered me. But what can I offer beyond my means? So even though he didn't mention anything, but when Sudama left back, he was surprised to see there was a mighty palace waiting for him in the place of his hut, and his wife fully decorated, and a palace waiting for him to be ruled. So that is the love that Krishna has. Many times we think like, we should go to God and ask for like, I want this, I want that, I want this. I'm a checklist of things that we want from Krishna. But Krishna knows all our hearts. We don't need to tell Krishna that I want this, I want that. But instead of asking for each and everything, if we tell Krishna, I have only you. You are the only one I have in my life. You crush me. This is the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You crush me, you hug me, whatever it is you can do, but I have no choice. I have only you. Your lotus feet is my only shelter. You can crush me, you can leave me, you can abandon me, or you can just show your love towards me, but I have no choice but your lotus feet. This is the love that Krishna wants. And you can see Sudama didn't ask anything. Actually, was in a very bad situation. That's why his wife sent him, go and ask your friend. But still, he did not ask anything. But the Lord knew his heart. So from this, we can get to know that you don't need to ask anything. Does a child need to tell a father, Father, I need this, Father, I need that? Father knows everything. But if you just take something out of love for Father, Father becomes so happy that he wants to give you the best of the best. Tesham jnani nitya yukta eka bhaktir vishishyate priyo hi jnaninotartam aham sacha mama priya. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Of all kind of devotees, the one who has come for me, out of love for me, Arjuna, I consider that devotee to be the best of all the devotees. And for him, I am everything for him and he is everything for me. So here we start that we say, like, so Maharaj Parikshit was very curious to know about the king of Bali, that he was a great devotee. And here we're finding a story unfolding about Vamana Avatar, where Vamana was blessed with 100 sons, and the eldest of the son was Banashira. We covered that. And we seen that Banashira was a great devotee of Shiva, and he did immense penances and everything, because of which he was given 1,000 arms by Krishna, by Lord Shiva. And he was very intelligent and things like that. So we covered that. And also, we can see that Lord Shiva is called as Ashitosh, which means that he gets very impressed very easily. It is very easy to please Lord Shiva. And that's the reason why you find many devotees, they always go to the lotus, to Lord Shiva, because it is easy to be pleased. He does not think about like pros and cons of anything. Whatever he devotee asks, he immediately gets pleased. That's why he's called as Ashutosh. And so here we can see that when Lord Shiva was doing the Nataraj dance, Banasura went and did the drums, and because of which he was very pleased that he given this. So he asked, like, what desire do you want? And he said, like, Banasura asked Shiva if he can be in the city to protect me from my enemies. So, but one thing what happened is Banashira became like, he had 1,000 arms. It was itching for him. He had the tendency to fight, but he couldn't find anybody who can fight with him. He had a lot of pride that I have now 1,000 arms, then I can go and fight with anyone. So he goes to Shiva and tells him, like, Shiva, you've given me this benediction, but I do not have anyone to fight. And because of which my hands are itching, So I was beating against the mountains and tearing these mountains into pieces. So this is a very important thing, right? So Lord Shiva is given a benediction to Banasura, but Banasura doesn't know how to use this benediction. I have 1,000 arms. Now I had to feel like kicking somebody, or I feel like killing somebody, doing something. No, this is the kind of attitude we have, demoniac people have, right? So they have something, they get so much of pride. They think, like, Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, right? He thinks that everybody is enemy, then he's going to, he's going to be more prosperous than him, then I had to put an end to his life. So you start getting into all kind of too much of pride leads you to keep of thinking that I am invisible and I want to do something. And if you can see the mentality of Hiranyakashipu, you can see the mentality of Ravana, all of them had the same mentality, isn't it? Because they had so much of a pride. We all know yesterday was the day when Narasimha Avatar, they show the real form of Narasimha is shown yesterday in Simhachalam, in my hometown. And that's the day when they remove all the chandan, all the sandalwood, and you can see the actual Nidadarshan of Narasimha Dev. And you know that the story of Prahlad Maharaj also, so many times it so happened that his own father was trying to throw his son into the sea. And that is the place where I come from, where he was throwing Bhakta Prahlad from the sea into the sea by tying him down with a stone so that he doesn't come back and float again into the water. So demoniac it is, right? So these are some Krishna gives an idea of what are the qualities of a devotee, and at the same time he gives the qualities of all the demoniac people also in Bhagavad Gita. So it's very clearly we can make out, like, when we have certain qualities, we can understand that, yes, I'm in the mode of Rajaguna, I'm in the mode of Satoguna, or I'm in the mode of Tamoguna. So Krishna has given us a nice way of where we can analyze where we've fallen, So we can find that Banasura is being given a benediction by Lord Shiva with 1,000 arms. So now he doesn't know it's itching him. So he's going and banging his hand against the mountains and tearing them into pieces and all this. So now Lord Shiva is telling him, Banasura, you rascal, you are very eager to fight, but you're thinking that there's nobody who's ready to fight with you because you got 1,000 arms. But you're going to find a competent person. You will find a competent person. And then when that person comes, then you will no longer have this kind of a pride. Your pride will be crushed, right? So Banasura was very puffed up with power. He was thinking like, there's nobody who can match his kind of a power, that he has with his strength. And so this is the thing, like in Krishna consciousness, we are always looking at how we can use our talents for the purpose of Krishna, right? Like Arjuna, he used all his skills as a Kshatriya for the purpose of serving Krishna. Before the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he was very ego conscious. But after listening to all of Bhagavad Gita, then he became Krishna conscious. And then he said, Krishna, I will fight for you. So the whole mood of a devotee of Krishna is Samsiddhim Haritoshnam, doing everything for the pleasure of Krishna. But for people like Banashira, they're always looking at sense gratification. They want to experience the joy of going and killing somebody who could be a suitable fighter whom I can go and kill him and show my strength with 1,000 hands. So this is the nature of, and Banashira was a perfect example of that kind of a person. Sense gratification, right? So that's a kind of attitude that he had. Now we are covering another area where Banashira had a very beautiful daughter. Her name was Usha. So we're talking about Bali's, King Bali's had 100 sons, and out of 100 sons, the eldest of the son is called as Banashira. And Banashira had a beautiful daughter whose name is Usha. And obviously, he had a daughter called Usha, and she has come to a marriage stage, and it so happened. But again, I just always want to mention this very clearly, that at any point of time, always we had to keep in mind that Dwapara Yuga it's a different yuga altogether, where you had people had different power, and during those days, the longevity was different, the power of the people are different, the mystical powers were different. So that's a different era. So we in the Kali Yuga, we have so fallen that we cannot kind of like compare or imagine the situation in Dwapara Yuga. In Dwapara Yuga, the people were amazing. Like for example, Bhishma Pitamaha, 175 years old, he was roaring like a lion on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Now, forget about 175, not even 75 years we can have that kind of a strength. So Kali Yuga is a very fallen, where the memories are weak, the longevity has gone down a lot, and things like that. You cannot compare. So we're talking about a totally different yuga called Dwapara Yuga, where the powers were different and the people were different. They had a lot of power, and the kind of devotion was amazing and things like that. So here you can see that Banashira, in her dreams, she was thinking of someone called Anirudha, like about a person called Anirudha with whom she was enjoying. And then she had never seen before, but like it sometimes happens, isn't it? Somebody comes in the dreams, and later you find that the person came in the dream looks very much this person, like whom you can see outside. So suddenly she woke up from the dream, and then she told her friend, who Chitralekha. Chitralekha happens to be the Prime Minister's daughter, and also happens to be a good friend of Usha. So it so happened that Banashira's daughter Usha, she had a dream that she was thinking of being in a nice relationship with someone who's looking so beautiful, and in the dream she could see this person is looking amazingly beautiful and things like that. And suddenly she woke up from a dream, and then she started asking, my love, my beloved, my dear beloved, where are you, and things like that. So obviously, in those days, the queens, they used to have this, the friends, maidservants or friends, and all kind of people, very intimate circle of friends. The queens always had people, very intimate friends who were serving him. So here, Usha is kind of like sharing with Chitralekha, and Chitralekha was asking, what happened? You're not even married to any boy, and you have not seen, because, obviously in those days, you wouldn't expect, right? Like, it's not like in the time like now where you can go to a college and co-education and things like that. Maybe it was a different time, and obviously Banashira is a king, and his king's daughter means obviously she brought up like a beautiful princess. So Chitralekha was very surprised, because suddenly she woke up from her sleep and she was trying to say where are you, kind of thing, because of she hasn't seen the guy, but suddenly she woke up from the sleep. It always happens, isn't it? Like sometimes, I'm talking about this particular thing, but many times you have those dreams, suddenly you wake up and you think oh my God, is it really happened? Or sometimes it could be a good dream, sometimes it could be a bad dream. So yeah, people have a different experience, isn't it? So here Chitralekha is very curious. She's asking Usha, the daughter of Banasura, like, what happened? Like, who's this person? Who are you searching for? And things like that. And then Usha is explaining, in her dream, she saw a very nice young man who was very beautiful. And he has eyes were like lotus petals. Now we all know that who has eyes like lotus petals? Lord Krishna, right? He's got eyes like lotus petals. So here she's not only seen this boy in a dream, but Usha, the princess, she's also talking about giving a description of how the boy was looking at. His eyes are like lotus petals. He's dressed in yellow garments. His arms are very long. And we all know that Anirudh, who had very similar features like Krishna, where it's like in terms of his personality and his eyes and his prowess and things like that. And he was dressed in yellow garments, his arms were very long, and his bodily features are so pleasing that any girl would be attracted. And I feel so much pride in saying that this beautiful young man was kissing me, and I was very much enjoying the nectar of kissing. So obviously, it seems to be like, she's so enamored, or she's so impressed and attracted to the man in the dreams who came in the dreams, and that she was like enjoying his company and things like that. But I'm sorry to say that after this, he disappeared, and I was thrown into a whirlpool. So suddenly it happens, isn't it? When you get a beautiful dream and suddenly you wake up realizing that all that has not happened at all. And so she's very anxious to find this young man that desired a lot of my heart. So that's what her mood is. The mood of the princess is to find out, like, so after hearing Usha's words, Chitralekha, who's actually the Prime Minister's daughter, she's replying back, I can understand your bereavement, and I assure that if the boy is within these three worlds. So obviously, she's a very intimate friend of the queen, the princess. So Chitralekha is giving her an assurance, like, the person you've seen in your dreams, wherever he is, whether in the upper planets or lower planets or the middle planet, I will find him for your satisfaction. So this is what happens, isn't it? When you are a very intimate friend, you want to go and please the person, your friend. If I can identify him from your dreams, then I shall bring you peace of mind. Let me and look at the kind of a friend she is. And she's assuring that she's going to bring this boy wherever he is, but she's also taking the next step where she's drawing some pictures for us, so that if she can identify how he looks, whether any of this person, then she'll be able to go and identify and arrange it for that. So here we can, I'm not sure if we covered last week, Gayatri ji, if any of you guys remember, Nagarajman, but is it okay if we can quickly cover this as well?
I'm not sure, Prabhuji. No.
I think it's okay. We can still continue. Maybe shall we just go ahead with this, Gayatri ji? Chitralekha, you want to just read this one?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can read, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Yes. Chitralekha, while talking, began to draw many pictures of the demigods inhabiting the higher planetary systems. Then pictures of the Gandharvas, Siddhas, Charanas, Pannagas, Daityas, Vidyadharas, and Yakshas, as well as many pictures of human beings. The statements of Srimad Bhagavatam and other Vedic literatures prove definitely that on each and every planet there are living entities of different varieties. Therefore, it is foolish to assert that there are no living entities but those on this earth. Chitralekha drew many pictures. Among the human beings she drew were the members of Vrishni dynasty, including Vasudeva, the father of Krishna, Surasena, the grandfather of Krishna, Sri Balaramaji, Lord Krishna, and many others. When Usha saw the picture of Pradyumna, she became a little bashful, but when she saw the picture of Aniruddha, she became so bashful that she immediately lowered her head and smiled, having found the man she was seeking. She identified the picture to Chitralekha as that of the man who had stolen her heart. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, so much of nectar, isn't it? So we can see like how beautiful it is, isn't it? I mean, so our Sanatan Dharma is so beautiful that, like I was saying in the beginning, like, we not only know that there is a God, but we know God's form, God's name, like, what God's genealogy, which covered in the last chapter, and where God lives, what's his address, everything we have completely is available in Bhagavatam and in our scriptures. And you can see that like Chitralekha was ready to even be able to draw the pictures of Gandharvas. And we've seen earlier in the earlier chapters that even the demigods would come and visit Lord Krishna. Even Brahma would come and visit Krishna in Dwaraka. So we're talking about a totally different yuga, Dwapar Yuga, where Krishna was there ruling as a king, and you would find the demigods coming and visit it. You can't even imagine, fathom in the mind, isn't it? We can't even think of seeing the demigods. But those were the different yuga and a different time when even Lord Krishna would appear in front of them. We all know the story of Prahlad Maharaj when Lord Narasimha appeared from a pillar. Similarly, for Dhruv Maharaj, Krishna appeared in front of him, asking him what he want, So that those were the different time where the people were so pure, where in the sattva guna, that even the lords or the demigods they would appear to them. And there was a totally a different kind of relation. But in Kali Yuga, the only good part, we cannot think about, having that kind of a qualities where we can just even get God to appear in front of us. But the only kind of like a solace that we have, or the only good thing about Kali Yuga is with this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that this Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the Nama avatar of Krishna, that when we are listening to the Hare Krishna, immediately we're in contact with Krishna. Not only that we are so fortunate that by just doing this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Vedeshu yajneshu tapasu chaiva daneshu yat punya palam pratistam atyeti tat sarvam vedam viditva yogi paramsthanam upechi chadyam, where Krishna says, the one who's performing bhakti by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, by just chanting, by engaging in bhakti life, Krishna says that you get all the benefits of reading the Vedas, doing austerities, penances, sacrifices, everything. If you package it together, that same set of benefits that you get out of this, we will get the same benefit by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So that's the kind of a benediction that is being given in Kali Yuga. But coming back to this, the Chitralekha, the people were so advanced in those days that they even knew how the people look in the higher planets. Like from this we can make out that she was ready to even draw pictures of the demigods like Gandharva, Siddhas and all that. We don't even know how they look like. But you can see in those times how advanced the people were. And we seen throughout Krishna Katha that everybody was so spiritually so clever. They were spiritually so intelligent. We seen how Vasudeva was, kind of giving Gyan to Kamsa. Of course, even though it fell on deaf ears. But look at the kind of a knowledge they had. Look at the knowledge of the gopis. Look at the knowledge of Uddhav. Look at the knowledge of everybody who were there, who were devotees of Krishna. They had amazingly beautiful knowledge. Spiritual knowledge, I mean to say, not the material knowledge. But so here it is very clear that people even now in this material world with all the advanced technology, we are still trying to go to the nearest planet. We go to the Mars, we go to some planets, and we try to figure out, and okay, there is some water. There seem to be some water in this. But through our scriptures itself, it was so advanced. 5,000 years ago, it has been mentioned that there is life in the higher planets. There are so many different entities that were living in the higher planet. Not only that, Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita that one who's leaving this world in the mood of Sattva-guna, they will go to the higher planets, right? And Krishna makes it very clear. Yanti deva vrata devan pitriyanti pritivrata bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti majyajino pimam. People who worship the demigod, they go to the planet of demigods. So we know that there are higher planets in this universe, in this material universe, where even the demigods are residing. And we know that there are planets where even our ancestors are residing. So like that, there are planets, higher planets. And which is what Krishna is even trying to tell Arjuna also. What did he say? Hato va prapsasi swargam jitva va boksasi mahim tasmad uttistaya kaunteya yuddhaya kritineshaya. Krishna tells Arjuna, he tries to pacify him, tell Arjuna, there are only two things that can happen. Either you will win this battlefield and you will enjoy an earthly kingdom. You will nicely enjoy the earthly kingdom, Hastinapur, and the whole world. Or if you die on the battlefield, Arjuna, then what will happen is, because you have done your Kshatriya Dharma, then you will directly go to the heavenly planets. So what does it mean? That he will be living in the heavenly planets. So we can understand from this shloka itself that anybody who's doing piety, who is living a life of pious activities like auspiciousness, Krishna consciousness, those people, the next life is in the higher planets. So we can make out from this Chitralekha's these things. And Chitralekha drew not only Gandharvas and all the demigods, but she drew even the people who are living on this material world at that point of time. And very interestingly, people do sometimes get confused, but Vasudeva is Krishna's father and Krishna is Vasudeva. So Vasudeva is father, son is Vasudeva. There is an extension of A, Vasudeva. So we can sign that Chitralekha, after drawing all the pictures, now she's seen that Pradyumna is the son of Rukmini and Krishna, and then she felt a bit bashful. It's almost like his father-in-law, isn't it? And then she sees a picture of Aniruddha. So now she really found out, like, this is the same person whom you've seen in the dreams. You know, sometimes we come across like that, isn't it? Hey, this is the same person whom I seen on a YouTube. You know, I'm seeing in person, kind of thing. Especially for devotees, so devotees are excited in a different way. For us, when we see some very nice speaker like Gauranga Prabhu and some very, very well-known devotees who are like wonderful speakers, Amarendra Prabhu, Gauranga Prabhu, and Maharajas especially, you know, Bhakti Vikas Maharaj or Radhanath Maharaj, when they suddenly come and you get so enamored, oh my God, I can't believe that I'm seeing in person, you know. There is a kind of a fan moment. There is a kind of like amazing thing, the way we look up to our gurus and this thing. That is for the devotees, isn't it? But in the material world is different. They get very excited about seeing you know, celebrities and all. But here you can see that Usha, suddenly now she's seen that this person, this picture that Chitralekha has drawn and shown to the queen, to the princess Usha. Usha has now seen that this is the same person whom I seen in the dreams. I know she was feeling so shy, you know, she was feeling so bashful. And this is what happens, isn't it? You start becoming feeling very delicate, and you start feeling very blushing kind of thing. So this is the person whom she found in the dreams, and she identified to Chitralekha, saying that this is the person who stole her heart, you know. So it's very interesting, right? Usha dreams, in her dreams, she sees Aniruddha, and now Chitralekha draws a picture which matches with this person. So can I ask someone else to read the next one? Anybody would like to? Sitaji, Hare Krishna, thanks for joining us.
Hare Krishna, sorry, can't read.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
I read.
Yes, Narapur, go ahead.
Yeah. Chitralekha was a great mystic yogini. As soon as Usha identified the picture, Chitralekha could immediately understand that it was of Aniruddha, the grandson of Krishna's. Although neither she nor Usha had previously known his name or even seen him, that every night she traveled in the outer space and within a very short time reached the city of Dwaraka, which was well protected by Lord Krishna. She entered the palace and found Aniruddha sleeping in his bedroom on a very opulent bed. Chitralekha, by her mystic power, immediately brought Aniruddha in that sleeping condition to the city of Sonitapura so that the Usha might see her desired husband. Usha immediately bloomed in happiness and began to enjoy the company of Aniruddha with great satisfaction.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. So amazing, isn't it? Like I was just saying a few minutes back, we have to always keep in mind that this is Leelas of Krishna. This is the Leelas of Krishna, not to be understood like our normal karma that we do in our life. And we can see that every moment there is a nectar, there's amazing out of the mind. We can't just think about these things happening in this life. But you can see that Chitralekha was a great yogini. And she was a mystic yogini. And as soon as she seen the picture and as soon as Usha recognized this is the person who came in the dreams, and immediately she could understand that this is Krishna's grandson. And so she traveled in outer space, and within a short time she reached the city of Dwaraka, which is protected by Lord Krishna. So now we had to understand this. These things are Leela. Well, the reason why I say these are Leela is you cannot do anything without Krishna's permission. For example, Krishna's grandson, can you take away Krishna's grandson without Krishna's permission? So these are all Leelas which Krishna allows them to be happen. Because he is the supreme controller. He is the someone, Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshish Nivasha Sharanam Suhrit. So Krishna says he is the supreme controller. He is the supreme maintainer. He is sitting in everyone's heart. So there's nothing that can be hidden from Krishna. So now we can see that Chitralekha, he allowed it to happen. Chitralekha was a great yogini, and she found Aniruddha sleeping in the bedroom, and she went into Dwaraka and she found this person whom she desired. So can you imagine, she was such a yogini that she could even figure out where actually this person is there. Can you imagine, like, if somebody shows me a picture and I can figure out this person is in New Zealand or this person is in Amsterdam, how would you even figure out? But she was a yogini. She could get into that mind space where she could understand where this person is, and she could just go, even travel to that space. And she found Aniruddha was sleeping in his place in in Dwarka. So he entered into the palace and immediately brought Aniruddha to that Sonitapura. And this is where, of course, you can make out that this is where Banashura's palace is, and this is the place where his daughter Usha is residing. So now, obviously, Usha is seen in her dreams. She don't know who it is, but she knew that a beautiful person has come in her dreams, and she was enjoying his company. And now, as soon as Chitralekha got this Aniruddha in a sleeping condition in front of her, she was so happy, and she was like, because this is the person whom she's seen in her dreams. So obviously, she was seen to be very, very happy at this. So this is again another Leela that is unfolding, and we are seeing. So we are setting the entire foundation for the fight between Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva. So we have to just wait for the actual action to happen, but we are laying the foundation, the ground for the beautiful Leela that's going to happen between Krishna and Lord Shiva. So can I ask anyone else? Paritosh Prabhu, would you like to read? Okay.
Yes, I can.
Yes, go ahead, Paritosh Prabhu.
Right, where am I going?
The one highlighted.
What's highlighted, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so look. Oh. Hare Krishna. The palace in which Usa and Chitralekha lived was so well fortified that it was impossible for any male to either enter or see inside. Usha and Aniruddha lived together in the palace, and the day after day, Usa's love for Aniruddha grew 4 times upon 4. Usha pleased Anuradha with valuable garments, flowers, garlands, scents, and incense. By his bedside sitting place were other paraphernalia for residential purposes. Nice drinks such as milk and sherbet and nice eatables, which could be chewed or swallowed. Above all, she pleased him with the sweet words and very obliging service. Usha worshipped Anuradha as if he were the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By her excellent service, Usha made Aniruddha forget all other things and was able to draw his attention and love to her without deviation. In such an atmosphere of love and service, Aniruddha practically forgot himself and could not recall how many days he had been away from his real home.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Very nice. So we can see that in those days, obviously, he's a son of Bali Maharaj. So you can imagine what kind of a palace that he must be having, Banashura. So again, we can see that this palace was heavily fortified, which means that nobody can just enter, because obviously she's a princess. Usha is a princess, so we can imagine obviously she would have been guarded with the best people out there to just make sure that nobody enters into the prince's personal quarters and things like that. But here we can see that the mystic yogini Chitralekha, she went and got him and directly put him in the personal quarters of Usha. And obviously we can see from here that Usha has showered so much of love on Aniruddha that he literally forgotten like how many days he's been away. It happens, isn't it, when you are like living in the loving care of somebody who's just showering all kind of urdulences, like kind of showering with all kind of a love and affection. So he's totally drowned in that he's completely forgotten track of how many days he's been away from his home. And we can see that Usha is completely floored in love with Aniruddha. And obviously he's a grandson of Krishna, and we know that they were all had the same opulence in terms of the good looks and all. We know that he's like a Madana Mohana, like, he's 1,000 times even more beautiful than the king, than the Cupid and the Lord Cupid. So we can imagine how beautiful Krishna was looking at that time. And obviously, as the grandson of Krishna, how beautiful Aniruddha must have been. So Usha is totally kind of like taken away by the beauty of Aniruddha, that she's serving him with all the valuable garments. Obviously, she's a princess, so she could afford to get the best of the best flowers, garlands, scents, and everything. And obviously, and then we think that in Kali Yuga, the best thing is like, you can go to a nice place and you can order some nice drinks and all. But we can understand that Kali Yuga is the most fallen Yuga. In fact, there was much more beautiful and people had more opulences during those times. Like when Nanda Maharaj time and all. Can you imagine 900,000 cows Krishna would have? And so it's a different Yuga at that time, where the kind of opulences was different. The kind of the way the prosperity was measured was different, right? How many cows was that kind of a person was the richest person. So here, because because Usha was a princess, she could afford. She could just she could give the best comforts to Aniruddha, and nice drinks as well, milk and sherbet and things like that. And not only on the top of that, especially it happens, isn't it? In today's material world also, you see, when you like someone, so nobody need to tell you to just look at the person. You're constantly looking at the person. You're trying to give the best of the best because you don't want to lose that person. You are ready to do anything for that person. So that was the kind of situation that Usha was. She was ready to do anything for him. She was just completely forgotten, and she was drawing his attention so much, then showering him so much of love, that Aniruddha practically forgotten about himself, and he forgotten how many days he's been away from his real home. So you can see that he's come from Dwarka to Sonitapura, and then he's completely in the love of of Usha. I don't know, Amaga Prabhu, would you be able to read, or you'll be?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. From where, Prabhu? Okay, in due course.
Yeah.
In due course of time, Usha exhibited some bodily symptoms by which it could be understood that she was having intercourse with a male friend. The symptoms were so prominent that her actions could no longer be concealed from anyone. Usha was always cheerful in the association of Aniruddha, and she did not know the bounds of her satisfaction. The housekeeper and the guards of the palace could guess very easily that she was having relations with a male friend. And without waiting for further developments, all of them informed their master Banasura. In the Vedic culture, an unmarried girl having association with a male is the greatest disgrace to the family. And so the caretakers cautiously informed their master that Usha was showing symptoms indicating a disgraceful association. The servants informed their master that they were not at all neglectful in guarding the house, being alert day and night against any young man who might enter. They were so careful that a male could not even see what was going on there. And so they were surprised that she had become contaminated. Since they could not trace out the reason for it, they submitted the whole situation before their master.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So one of the things to always keep in note is that during the Dwapara Yuga and even the earlier yugas like Treta Yuga, the Vedic culture was followed to the T. Like everybody, the Kshatriyas would follow what has to be done by a Kshatriya. So the roles and responsibilities were absolutely clear. Chaturvarnyam Maya system, Gunakarma Vibhagasha. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that these four varnas, like Brahmana, Kshatriyas, Sudras and Vaishya, the division was absolutely clear that everybody would follow according to the gunas. According to the guna and the kind of work, they were classified under the thing. So Vedic culture was absolutely followed. And not only that, according to the Vedic culture, as you can see over here, we wouldn't expect that somebody without before marriage being involved in a physical relationship like this and things like that. And of course, that's a culture that is being followed in India from time immemorial. So we can find that even though as we know earlier that this particular palace was heavily fortified, that there was no chance for anybody to just, take a ladder and climb up or things like that, because it was so fortified. But because of the mystic powers of Chitralekha, who happens to be the Prime Minister's daughter, that she managed to do it so meticulously that she just taken away from Aniruddha from Dwarka and just brought him with the mystic powers and just got him directly into the personal quarters. So we can see that she has done it in a very mystical way. Otherwise, there's no way that she could get him through the door, from the main door kind of thing. So it was something happened. So, anyways, in those days, people were intelligent and people could make out because everything was followed to the T. So if there's any small changes in anybody's this thing, they could make out, they could understand that there's something seems to be not right. So here in this case, her bodily symptoms and features of Usha, they could make out that she's been in a relationship with another person, and they couldn't figure out because they seen that there's no chance, because they were so sure that the people who are guarding the palace, that there is no chance of anybody coming inside. And it also goes to show that Chitralekha and Usha have managed it so well that even though Aniruddha was there, not a single person was guarding the palace outside, the guards or anybody, the housekeeper. Nobody came to even know that that Aniruddha was living there. So it seems to be like it will be managed very meticulously, actually, in terms of hiding him without being seen. Because, like, just imagine you stay in a palace and you have the housekeeping people coming every now and then to clean your place and things like that. So how would you go and hide? Because they would come and clean the old rooms and things like that, right? But it seems to be like, it has been very well managed and things like that. But finally, they could make out that the symptoms of her bodily features are changing. So they had to go and inform the master Banashura. And obviously, they had to be very, very careful, because this is like passing an allegation, telling that, your daughter has a relationship with other man, her bodily features. This is not going to be taken nicely by a king, right? Obviously, because the first thing he's going to question is, what are you guys doing? You're supposed to be guarding this place, and how are you doing all these things? How is it that anything like that can happen? So they had to tell him, but at the same time, they have made it very clear to him that they were not neglectful, and they did everything in the best and the might to make sure that nobody is be able to enter into the palace. And but they had to inform him, and because so they were surprised that she had become contaminated and things like that. They could not find a reason, but they had to tell this whole situation to the master. So I will just read out the next one. So Banashira, the father of Usha, was shocked to understand that his daughter Usha was no longer a virgin maiden. This weighed heavily on his heart, and without delay he rushed towards the palace where Usha was living. There he saw that Usha and Aniruddha were sitting together and talking. They looked very beautiful together. Aniruddha being the son of Pradyumna, who was Cupid himself. Banashira saw his daughter and Aniruddha as a suitable match. Yet for family prestige, he did not like the combination at all. Banashira could not understand who the boy actually was. He appreciated the fact that Usha could not have selected anyone in the three worlds more beautiful. Aniruddha's complexion was brilliant and swarthy. He was dressed in yellow garments and he had eyes just like lotus petals. His arms were very long and he had nice curling bluish hair. The glaring rays of his glittering earrings and the beautiful smile on his lips were certainly captivating. Still, Banashira was very angry. So you can see that there's a mixed mood of Banashira. Obviously, Banashira, the very first thing a king will get to know that his daughter is being, he's been having a relationship with someone, a physical relationship, and her features are changing. Now, this is the worst thing that even a father would like to hear, right? Even in the material world, even in today's world also, for a father, it's like a nightmare to hear something like that. And that too, this coming from the guards and the housekeepers, because there's a very prestigious thing, isn't it? Even now, if somebody is like well-to-do and someone who's well-known in the society, even in today's material world, they just can't take it. Like, their daughter being accused that, she's been in a relationship or he's been contaminated or whichever, the way the wording has been mentioned over here. So he was like, obviously he was very angry. Like, he was like, you can understand the mood of a father when he comes to know, and immediately he wants to go and question the thing. And when he goes over there, he sees that actually Usha and Aniruddha are staying there. Now he's in a very mixed kind of a feeling. On one side, he's very angry on his daughter that he's done something like that. He was shocked beyond, and obviously, but we have to also understand a father is always very, very soft on his daughter. Almost every girl will agree that a father is always loving towards the daughter. We all know that there's a natural love towards a father for his daughters. So obviously, even though he may be, he's like heartbroken, we can see like he's heavily on his heart, and without any delay he rushed, because on one hand he has to push his daughter, but at the same time he has to make sure that the prestige of the palace and the people, because everybody is going to be asking, like, they're going to be questioned. He's going to be guilty of that. But at the same time, when he enters in and suddenly he sees Anirudh, he's like literally taken aback, because Anirudh is the grandson of Krishna, and he's a son of Cupid himself, who's Pradyumna. And you can see, imagine like how beautiful he was looking. Obviously, he felt like, wow, this is such a beautiful match that his daughter Usha could get anywhere in this material world. And and obviously he feels that Usha couldn't have selected anyone better in this world. So you can imagine how beautiful he was looking there. So he was very impressed, and he was very taken aback to see how beautiful Aniruddha was looking at, because of the bodily features that we mentioned. So it is amazing, isn't it? In Bhagavatam, I feel like it is amazing. We heard about prose and poetry when we were in school days, but you can see the description that is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, like, dressed in yellow garments, eyes like lotus petals, nice curling bluish hair and arms long, and you can just bring to mind how beautiful the person must be looking at, you know, and beautiful earrings and beautiful smile on his lips. All of this goes to show that how beautiful he was looking. But still, Banashira was very angry. Why angry? Because obviously, the word of mouth will get spread over, and just to her, like somebody, and what she has done also is not something which is a good news to the father. So obviously he's quite kind of like very, very angry about that. So obviously he just gone out there. In the interest of time, I'm just looking at, it just got a couple of paragraphs. What do you suggest, Tamaga Prabhuji? 3 paragraphs?
If it is few, Prabhuji, then just you can cover them if it is okay.
Okay. Okay. I hope it's fine with everyone. Gayatri ji and Nagila Prabhu. Yep. Sweta ji. Prabhu.
Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. When Banashira saw him, Aniruddha was engaged in playing with Usha. So his father suddenly comes and sees his daughter playing with Aniruddha. Aniruddha was nicely dressed, and Usha had garlanded him with various beautiful flowers. And the reddish kunkuma powder on the breast of a moment was spotted here and there on the garland, indicating that Usha had embraced him. Banashira was struck with wonder that even in his presence, Aniruddha was peacefully sitting in the front of Usha. Aniruddha knew, however, that his would-be father-in-law was not at all pleased, and that he was gathering many soldiers in the palace to attack him. So this is a real-time situation, right? It's like it's almost, imagine a father going and finding his daughter sitting with another man in the private, in his private quarters, in her private quarters. This is like a war-like situation, right? You don't know what's going to explode. You don't know how the father is going to react. So here he's finding, like, even though Banashara has entered, he found like Aniruddha so peacefully sitting with them, and is with his, with how obviously Usha was so much in love with him. She was like pampering him everywhere by putting on the best, giving him, serving with the best of the best in terms of the garments, or in terms of like everything that is to serve him in every way. And obviously Banashri was stuck with wonder that he was happily, Aniruddha was peacefully sitting, because obviously you can find, like, a guy getting caught with his with a woman of his, with his girlfriend or anyone, and his father-in-law coming and seeing. This is the worst situation, a nightmare for any guy to happen. But you can see here Aniruddha was happily, peacefully sitting in front of Usha. Can you imagine? He was not even panicking, or he was not rushing and hiding behind the pillow or somewhere. He was just sitting peacefully over there. And Aniruddha, in spite of knowing that his father-in-law would not be pleased, obviously, because obviously, he knows what he was doing with his, with Usha, and obviously they would be knowing, and also knowing that he would have his father-in-law, he's a king, obviously he would be gathering many soldiers in the palace to attack him. But still, Aniruddha is a grandson of Krishna, right? So he's peacefully sitting in front of, his power is in a different, this thing is totally a different ball game, right? He had all the opulences of Krishna. He had all the powers of Krishna. Thus, not finding any other weapon, Aniruddha took hold of a big iron rod and stood up before Banashura and his soldiers. He firmly took up a position indicating that if he attacked, he would strike all the soldiers down to the ground with the iron rod. Banashura and his family, his company of soldiers, saw that this boy was standing before him was just like a superintendent of death, which is with his invisible rod. Now, under the order of Banashura, the soldiers from all sides attempt to capture and arrest him. When they dared to come before him, Aniruddha struck them with a rod, breaking their legs and hands and arms and thighs, and one after the other fell to the ground. He killed them just as the leader of a pack of boars kill barking dogs one after the another. In this way, Aniruddha was able to escape the palace. So you can see how the action follows. Srimad Bhagavatam is full of nectar and it's full of action. I can't even think somebody can just sometimes when you listen to some story, you may fall off your desk, you may fall off from your seat. But for us, for our devotees, listening to the nectar of Krishna is so amazing because there's so much of action at every corner. And like father, like son, like grandson, you can say that even when Aniruddha was there, it was the same thing. So Aniruddha, you can see that he just found an big iron rod and he started striking. Obviously he came with a position. You can imagine the soldiers all coming and surrounding him and to capture him. And you can see that obviously he's taking a position that he feels somebody is going to attack. Obviously, you know the position, right? Normally the heroes you find in the pictures, they take a position that if you come and attack me, then I'm going to just revert back with the So obviously, it was an iron rod, and we can see that once the soldiers from all the side tried to capture him, Aniruddha was literally kind of handled him like how a pack of boars kill barking dogs. Such a nice, beautiful analogy that is there in Srimad Bhagavatam, isn't it? So many analogies that we find. Pack of boars killing barking dogs. Can you imagine? So it is like it is to show that how powerful even Aniruddha is. Even though he's a grandson of Krishna, he had the kind of immense power. And this brings to mind, isn't it? Like how Krishna killed Kamsa. He just went and pounced on Kamsa, pulled him out, and just gave him one massive shot where he died on the spot. So we can find like how like grandfather, like grandson. So even he handled him like that. He just took in just a rod was good enough for Aniruddha to go and strike and break the legs and hands and thighs of anyone. We've seen that same thing happen when Krishna was striking him, any of his demoniac opponents, right? So similarly here also, there were no match. The soldiers were no match for Aniruddha, who just struck them like a pack of boars. And now, in this way, Aniruddha not only went and defeated all of them, he literally attacked all of them, he got them all to the ground, and then he escaped from the palace. Now, Banashura knew various arts of fighting, right? Because he's been blessed by Lord Shiva, right? He's been giving benedictions by Lord Shiva. He's given 1,000 arms by Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva gave him a boon of 1,000 arms. Now, Banashura knew various arts of fighting, and by the grace of Lord Shiva, he knew how to arrest his enemy by the use of Nagapasha, snake nose. And thus he seized Aniruddha as he came out of the palace. When Usha received the news that her father had arrested Aniruddha, she was overwhelmed with grief and confusion. Tears glided down from her eyes, and being unable to check herself, she began to cry very loudly. So beautiful things, isn't it? Look at the action that's going on. Now we find that Aniruddha went and broke apart all these soldiers who are coming just with an iron rod. And in Vishnu Sahasranama, I'm sure Nagaraj Prabhu would remember, one of the names of Krishna is Sarva Praharana Yuddha. Like, Krishna takes even a chariot wheel, right? That's what he did, right? When Arjuna was not fighting the way he's expected and against Bhishma Pitamaha. And then Krishna takes out the wheel from the chariot and starts rushing towards Bhishma Pitamaha. Sarva Praharana Yuddha, which means for Krishna, anything that he can pull his hand, he can make it into a weapon. Like the chariot wheel, even that can become a weapon. In fact, it is mentioned that anything that comes into the hands of Krishna, that will become automatically like a weapon. He doesn't need to create an AK-47, or he doesn't need to create a fighter missile or things like that. It automatically, whatever Krishna touches, he can make that into a weapon. So we can find that Aniruddha was similarly like grandfather, like grandson. He just taken an iron rod and used it like that. Like how Krishna used the chariot wheel to fight against like Bhishma Pitamaha. And because he knew, and Banashura knew the art of fighting, and because he was graced by Lord Shiva, and we know that Lord Shiva is called as Ashutosh. He's given him with so much of compassion, he gifted him 1,000 arms. And so he already also knew the method of fighting to her is telling me to know that Nagapasha, snake news, maybe this is one of the ways in which he could capture his enemies, like, and he seized Aniruddha as he came out of the palace. Now we have to always understand that all these are beautiful leelas that are happening. They happen for a reason, and we have to just enjoy the nectar of that. Never to doubt Krishna, never to doubt anything, because we also always have to understand Bhoktaram Yajanatapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam Jnatamam Shantim Vichte. He's the supreme enjoyer. He's the enjoying all the sacrifices. Everything that we do is Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. He's the master of all the demigods. He's the master of all the planets. Everything. He's the one. But Krishna, when something is happening in his Leela, these are all, we call it as Leelas. Why certain things happen? We should always, anything that we listen to Hari Katha or Krishna Katha, we have to live with the faith, listen with the faith. We are not using our eyes, we are using our ears as the best way to understand and fall in love with Krishna. Just like Rukmini Devi. Rukmini Devi never seen Krishna, but she heard about Krishna from Narada Muni, and that's how she fell in love with Krishna. So even for us, we have to think of the stories of, we have to listen, use our ears as one of our senses in order to fall in love with Krishna. This is the way we can, instead of seeing Krishna, we should hear about Krishna. So we can see that Banashira used this Nagapasha in order to see his Aniruddha, and when he was coming out of his palace. And obviously we can know that Usha was so much in love with Aniruddha that she was, when she came to know that her father has captured Aniruddha, she was like so much overwhelmed with grief. Obviously we can expect that she started crying as well. So this marks the end of another chapter, 62nd chapter, the meeting of Usha and Aniruddha. And next week, I can't wait to do this. We are fighting with another beautiful chapter, which is going to be Lord Krishna fights with Banashura. And we will see how Lord Krishna also, or Lord Shiva also come into the picture. So we have to stay tuned. We have to stay. We have to hold our breath and just wait for this, for another 1 week to capture another beautiful Leela and dive into the nectar. We are all scuba diving into the nectar of Krishna Katha and just getting all the beautiful oysters and pearls from the bottom of this ocean of nectar. So I want to just stop over here. Anything anyone wants to like to share, or any corrections, anything at all, please.
I just want to ask, which canto are we reading?
This is from Canto 10, Mataji, from Bhagavatam.
Canto 10. Okay. Have you read like from Canto 1, or you just reading from the middle?
So actually what we are covering is KrishnaBook, and KrishnaBook is mainly from Canto 10.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Normally,
Because
in Bhagavatam.
I read Bhagavatam every week, and I'm on Canto 3, Part 2.
Okay.
So I'm quite behind, right?
Oh, no. It's absolutely fine, Mataji. In fact, actually, in Bhagavatam, we are supposed to go, in a systematic order. Like when you're reading the complete Bhagavatam, we go Canto 1, 2, 3, like that only. And then finally, Krishna comes in the 10th canto. But since we are just doing a Krishna book, which is actually taken from Bhagavatam, which has been adapted from Bhagavatam, so we're just covering only the Krishna book. But otherwise, if you're actually covering Bhagavatam, you're doing the right thing by going through the cantos step by step. But in parallel, you're also, by joining KrishnaBook, you're also gathering, you're just taking part in this nectar as well, so.
Yes. But when I read it, it's not very easy to understand.
Yeah. One thing, Mataji, we have to always understand that, this is the complete essence of all our Vedic knowledge and everything that is coming through. And we are living in this Kali Yuga, it's the most fallen Yuga, and with so much of contamination and the material energy and things like that. So definitely it does take time, but let's not be discouraged at all, because it is bound to happen, because we don't know Sanskrit for one reason. And second thing is the topics are so overwhelming. Like I said, all these topics are like taken from Dwapar Yuga. It's a different Yuga where the people and the powers and everything was a totally different level. The devotees were amazing. The Lord was amazing with his Leelas. Everything was totally in a different space. So it takes some time. Even for me also, when I was reading Bhagavad Gita, first time everything started going like a bouncers over my head. I had no idea what I'm reading. Slowly, so the whole process of understanding Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita or any Krishna Katha is, as you keep reading it, Krishna slowly starts revealing himself to you, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that is the way. It is not a book where we can say, okay, I'm going to read Bhagavatam Canto 1 and by tomorrow I'm going to understand everything. It doesn't work like that at all. But what is the most beautiful thing is that you are taking the commitment that yes, I am going to read, whether I understand it or not, I'm going to read. There were so many things. I can give you examples in Bhagavad Gita where I couldn't understand something a few years back and I would be scratching my head, and the same thing automatically everything comes in a realization to you. Automatically it comes as a realization to you. Or some way some guru has been speaking about it and you catch the point. You understand it, you realize it. So spiritual knowledge is not something to mug it up like any material books. It is something which we kind of like take it as an incarnation of Krishna, and as you keep reading it, Krishna keeps revealing himself through the scriptures. So whether
Yeah, that's amazing.
Bhagavatam, Krishna slowly reveals himself. So you only will be surprised with yourself that after some time when you do a second reading or third reading, or whenever you or something is happening and you think like, oh my God, I didn't know that.
Mm.
For example, Krishna, when I was reading Bhagavad Gita, some chapters are very easy to understand because Krishna says, okay, these are the qualities that I like, straight away. Advaita sarva bhutana maitra karuna evacha. He'll give you a list of 36 qualities and you understand, okay, I have to be free from false ego. I have to be free from this. I have to be compassionate to every living entity. You understand very clearly. But then again, come to chapter 15 and he says, Urdhamulam madashakam ashvatam prahuravyayam chandamsi yasya parnani yastam veda saveda. And you'll be like, what? What is Krishna talking about? Inverted banyan tree? What is an inverted banyan? I know a banyan tree, but what is an inverted banyan tree? And then he says, you don't know where the roots are, and the roots are up, and the branches are down. And you'll be like, what? Roots up, branches down? What is this? What kind of a tree is this? And then later, as I kept reading it, and suddenly the realization has appeared. Actually, he's talking about our roots coming from the spiritual world. And we are all coming from the spiritual world. So that's where our roots are. And that is where he's saying the roots are actually in the spiritual world, but the branches are down. So these branches are there in this material world. And then he says you cut down this you be detached from the things in the material world. And then you go back to your roots from where you came. And there you surrender to Krishna from where everything began. And this is the process that you have to follow. And a few years back, I had no idea that this is what Krishna was trying to say. So spiritual knowledge is like that, It's in the spiritual knowledge, you have to you read and read and read, and Krishna keeps realizing, start revealing himself. This is the process.
Yes, I read Bhagavad Gita a couple of years ago, but yes, I didn't understand fully, so I should read it again, right?
You won't understand in the beginning. That's what I'm saying. You will never understand everything in the beginning. And not that when you read today and you think I understood this one, and then later when you come back and again you read a second reading, third reading, fourth reading, then you start getting multiple realizations. It's not that your early realization is wrong, but you also start realizing that, okay, Krishna also meant this. Okay, this is also what I can understand from this sloka. And then another set of realization that you get in Bhagavad Gita is like linking all the dots. Like, oh, this is what Krishna meant in Jnana Yoga. So if I link that to Purushottama Yoga, so that is what Krishna meant in Purushottama Yoga. So you start putting all the dots together. Oh, Krishna, what he said in Karma Yoga. Today morning, I was just putting my spiritual notes, because Arjuna in one stage, he says, Krishna, whether we like it or not, why are we doing sinful things?
Yes.
And Krishna says, Kama Esha, Krodha Esha, Rajoguna Samudva. Arjuna, it's only because of lust, and you, Arjuna, because of lust only, you're unnecessarily this lust, which is Rajoguna. And that guna always makes you do all the things even though you don't like it. And this lust, Arjuna, it is sitting in your mind, in your senses, and you this thing. And then he goes on to say, Evam Buddha Param Buddha Samstabhyatmanam Atmaha. With your spiritual intelligence, Arjuna, you have to destroy this lust. Okay. And then you'll be wondering, like, okay, spiritual intelligence, you have to develop your lust. So where do I get my spiritual intelligence? Then again in 10th chapter, he says, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajati priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. To those who are constantly serving me with love by doing the chanting all the time, by reading Krishna Katha. But those devotees, then when they are doing this to me, by reading my Katha and doing all this chanting, then I out of love, I will give them the understanding by which they come to me. So I will give them the spiritual knowledge. I will give them the spiritual intelligence by which they can come to me.
Amazing.
So like that, if you can, teshameva nukam partam aham ajnanajam tamaha. So because your Atma is full of knowledge, but this knowledge is covered by this material energy, by all this lust and everything. So Krishna is saying, I'll remove all this darkness in your life. When you remove all the darkness, what happens when you a dark room, suddenly if you open the window, you'll get fully light. So similarly, when Krishna says, I will remove all the ignorance from your life, then automatically your soul is full of knowledge. Because your soul is full of intelligence. It's higher than even intelligence also. Indriyani paranyahur indriyebhya paramana manasastu parabuddhe ye buddha paradustasa. Krishna immediately says, above your senses, your mind. Above your mind, your intelligence. Above your intelligence, even your Atma. Atma is even higher than the intelligence. So if he removes, Krishna says, I'll remove all the darkness. So obviously the intelligence, everything will start coming up. And with that intelligence, yes, you control yours. So you see how you can link. In third chapter, he says something, and then again you link it up to the Purushottama Yoga, or you can link it to the other chapters, 10th chapter, and then over there, Vibhuti Yoga, and over there you can find the answer over there as well. So that is another kind of realization. So as you keep reading it, you same sloka, you get multiple realizations, and another level of realization where you can see how the dots of Krishna linking all the dots between different chapters. And this is not something which you can mug it up, or you can just, put a ladder or things like that. This is a realization that comes to you. And that is when you can see that Krishna is reciprocating you. Because he is giving you that knowledge. It will happen to everyone because there is no discrimination. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshiti napi. Krishna is not that he is going to give me and he's not going to give somebody else. No, anybody is eligible. As long as you're worshipping Krishna, Krishna says, I will give you the intelligence by which you can come to me. I'll give you the spiritual intelligence. Don't worry.
Yes, amazing. Yes, I'm going to start reading Bhagavad Gita again.
Yes, read, Mataji. Just Bhagavad Gita, don't leave Bhagavad Gita. That is something, because the instructions are there and the practical application. So you're doing all the right things. You're reading Bhagavatam, which gives you the beautiful Leelas of Krishna, by which you fall in love with Krishna. And now we are listening to KrishnaBook, which is actually, we are telling the beautiful Leelas of Krishna himself. And then when you read Bhagavad Gita, you will understand Bhagavad Gita much better if you're listening to Krishna Katha, because you can put everything, you can link it to Krishna Katha. Whatever Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, you can understand the examples are there in KrishnaBook.
Yes.
That's how you understand. So sorry, I'm just taking everybody's time.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, for your question. But please, this is our association of devotees. Everybody is welcome to ask questions, and this is the way we help each other, support each other. And I always feel very humble that I'm in the presence of wonderful devotees, Amaga Prabhu, Nagin Prabhu, and Gayatri Mataji, Paritosh Prabhu. Everybody serving so nicely, the devotees, Krishna. So thank you very much, everyone, for giving your valuable association. So feel so humble. Sorry for taking a few more minutes, but we want to discuss about Krishna. Nirbandhe, Krishna Sambandhe. Everything that's linked to Krishna is joyful.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. The last piece was like icing on the cake, actually. What you spoke about Bhagavad Gita. Beautiful, Prabhuji. Beautiful. Sweta, good. Thanks for asking that questions. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Because actually we are all sailing in the same boat, and sometimes, when you're sailing in the boat, we ask you in the journey of sailing back, we ask questions. And this is my small realization from whatever I've been reading Bhagavad Gita, and this is what I realized in my life, like, how Krishna gives you the realization from inside and just explains to you his own slokas, because he sees that you are sincerely reading now. So I will reveal to you. But don't be in a hurry, don't be in a rush. Never feel that, scratch your head that I didn't understand this sloka. If you don't understand, just park it aside, move on to the next one. Krishna will reveal everything in the due course of time. That is my experience. Yes, Paritosh Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, very good, very nice. Once again.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu, for giving your association joyful to all of you. Yeah, thank you so much. Vanchakalpataribhyasya kritat sindhu jaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo
namaha. Can we all request unmute and then to do 3 loud Hari Bols to Shyam Prabhuji, please?
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Well done, Sean.
Thank you so much for your association. We'll again meet next Thursday for the
Yeah.
beautiful nectar of Krishna again coming into the scene. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Great.